Hello, it's me, the Bean Man. This video will be a bit different to normal. It's a lot less scripted. I have just a pile of notes here rather than a full script like I normally do, but the plan is that I'm going to use that pile to rank each of the 20, or well 18, original legions on this tier list. If you have somehow never seen a tier list before, the closer to the top a legion is, the more I like them. The closer to the bottom, the less I like them. This will be based purely on my personal opinion of each legion, and will therefore be the objective truth. Okay, any further questions? No? Amazing, let's get started. Starting with the Dark Angels, and I've split them into two, as you can see here. We've got the original legion, and then we've got the way cooler subfaction. The original legion has a few things going for it. It's got a very fun knightly aesthetic. I really like that they pretend to be codex compliant while basically still functioning as a legion, as all of the successors are beholden to the chapter master of the Dark Angels, which is basically what the Ultramarines do, to be fair. And the Watchers, the little hobbit guys that they've got following them around, are very cool. With that being said, I don't really like the Dark Angels. I think their obsession with the Fallen gets overblown by memes a lot, but even then it's kind of meh. They're just a very, they're a very C-tier legion as far as I'm concerned. However, the Fallen, the subfaction of the Dark Angels that split off at the end of the Horus heresy, or, well, kind of middle-ish of the Horus heresy. Anyway, the Fallen are great. Some of them are Chaos Marines. I've got some in my own Black Legion army. Some of them are just renegades and then get redeemed by the Lion when he's, pottering about the forest walking thing that he's got going on. The Fallen Dark Angels are easily an A because they've still got the knightly aesthetic, but it's the cooler knightly aesthetic of the pre-heresy Dark Angels. They're just better than the normal Dark Angels. Anyway, I've done a similar thing for the Emperor's Children, in that I've got the pre-heresy Emperor's Children here, and I've got the post-Fulgrim Slaneshi Horny Demon Emperor's Children. The Loyalist Emperor's Children were one of my favourite pre-heresy legions. The idea of having a really small force of really elite, perfectionist warriors who are trying to be perfect both in war and in artistry is just really cool. It's part of why I like the Blood Angels so much, is because they've got the whole artistry thing going on. So, pre-Snake Demon, I think the Emperor's Children are going in either A or B. I would err more on the side of B just because there's just not enough lore about them in this state. But they are somewhere around here. I might move them later. The post-heresy Emperor's Children took everything that made the original Emperor's Children unique and fun and just got rid of it in favour of being horny. So they're going in D. I don't like them. The Iron Warriors, look at my profile picture, they're going in S. The Hazard Stripes are amazing, their colour scheme is wonderful. I painted one recently, I'll probably put him on screen now, so I'm very proud of him. They are the best Siege Legion, and they might be led by a whiny man-child, but he's my whiny man-child. So they're going in S. The White Scars, I am unsure how I feel about them. Honestly, they've got a really nice kind of story arc of being separate from the Imperium pre-heresy and staying out of the heresy for a while and just kind of being almost an ally of the Imperium rather than beholden to it. But then they got pulled back into the Imperium by Jagatai's actions wanting to save humanity, and now they are trapped within a dying Imperium with no way of escaping the way they would have been able to 10,000 years ago. So that is great. Everything else about them is pretty meh. That's all they've really got going for them. I like the speed. I like the bikes. I think they're going in C. They're better than the. I like them more than the Dark Angels, but they're going in C. The Space Wolves, I've made their own little. They've got their own little category all to themselves because I like them so much. I have made my opinions on the Space Wolves abundantly clear throughout this channel, and my mind hasn't changed. I don't like them. I don't like their stupid little furry helmets. I don't like that everything has to be named after a wolf or just some kind of claw or some vaguely lupine terminology. I don't like them. I don't like their colour scheme. Don't like them. The Imperial Fists are boring. They aren't as boring as they're made out to be. I will give them that. I think it is overblown a lot. They are very autistic, which I do relate to. I really like their colour scheme. I think bright yellow really pops on the table. It's part of the reason why I like Iron Warriors so much, is they've got, you know, bright yellow accents. It looks really good on the tabletop. But they would be improved by the addition of hazard stripes and just making them into Iron Warriors in general. So I'm going to put them in C. I'm going to put them above White Scars, but solidly a C+. I think that's probably best. Moving on to another Legion that I have been very vocal about my love for. The Aaron Dembski-Bowden Night Lords trilogy is my favourite piece of literature to come out of the Black Library. I love that series of books. I do think that it has been the source of a bit of confusion for Night Lords in that they are chaotic, but a lot of people point to those books and go, Night Lords aren't chaotic, they don't like chaos, they're more renegades. First of all, Talos' warband isn't the only Night Lord's warband. There are multiple, one of whom the name escapes me, but it is led by a demon prince, I believe. And two, Talos' legion was led by a Tzeentch demon. Like, they are chaotic. That's the only part of that book that I don't like, though, is that it's kind of spawned that. Other than that, they were the most effective legion during the Great Crusade in terms of kind of civilian casualties in compliance. Konrad Kurz was one of the best Primarchs. I love Konrad Kurz, I love his story, I think he's a tragic character, I really like him. Sevatar kicked the shit out of Sigismund that one time. They're going in S. Below Iron Warriors, but still definitely an S tier Legion. The Blood Angels are my favourite Legion, but I think they are my favourite Legion because I'm biased towards them. Their Death Company army box that came out towards the start of 10th, I believe, not that long ago, was what got me into the model side of Warhammer. Like, I'd been into the lore for a while, but that Death Company box was what got me into the actual models. So I am biased towards them purely for that. They are also space vampires, which is cool. Their whole nobility/savagery dichotomy that they've got going on, also very cool, makes some very compelling stories. They have the artistry that the pre-heresy Emperor's Children had, but they are a bit boring in the lore. Devastation of Baal books were great, Dante is a great character, but all in all, Blood Angels tend to be a bit underwritten, I find. And they have a similar issue to the Space Wolves in that everything has to be named something either sanguine, or something related to blood, or something related to being a vampire. It's a bit much. So, I'm going to put them low S, maybe high A. I'll put them S for now, and we will come back to them later. The Iron Hands got absolutely shafted in that Ferrus Manus was the first Primarch to die. He died in, was it the third book of the Horus Heresy? He died like ridiculously early, and I feel like it was... The Iron Hands struggled because the Horus Heresy was not supposed to be as long a series as it ended up being when Ferrus died. So he got like no screen time compared to anyone else. So their Primarch, they had about 4 pages, and then their Primarch died, and then they got depression and started cutting off bits of themselves and replacing them with robots. Now, robots are cool, so that does bump them up a bit. I do like the AdMech, so that bumps them up a bit. But Iron Hands really come alive with their successor chapters. I find that their Iron Hands successors are just Iron Hands, but with extra bits, extra cool bits, extra gimmicks. Their successors are where all the interesting stuff is. Base Iron Hands I find a bit boring. So I'm going to put them in C. Do I like them more than the Dark Angels? Yes. Do I like them more than the White Scars? Yes. I prefer the Fists though, so I'm going to put them there. World Eaters are a very tragic legion. I really like their story arc of being originally noble warriors that got corrupted by circumstances beyond their control. That is a trope that I am very fond of. I'm a big fan. Aryan in the Fabius Bile trilogy, which I am listening to. I'm kind of halfway through the 3rd book in that series. Actually, no, I'm not. That's a lie. I'm at the start of that book. He's the best character in that trilogy so far. If he dies, I am going to be beyond upset. So I like the World Eaters. I do find, though, that similar to the Blood Angels, they tend to be a bit underwritten in lore. I find that they're a bit one-note. Writers kind of lean into the big, beefy, angry beefcakes. And fair enough, like, that is most of what they are. But I find that I feel like we could just lean a bit more into their tragedy. Then they would be an A. I think right now they are a B. Probably below the We'll put them below pre-Heresy Emperor's Children. I'm unsure, though. I may fiddle with this order a little bit. The Ultramarines is perhaps going to be controversial. I'm going to put them in A. I'm going to put them at the top of A. Basically, this is an S-. They are among my favourites of the legions. They are logisticians, tacticians, and diplomats, as well as being warriors, which I find really interesting. They're very flexible. They have one of the most effective Primarchs, who is back now, and right now they're functioning like the Dark Angels do, in that Guilliman basically has a legion. Like, he's not technically got one, but he's pretty much got one. They are just kind of generally stable and dependable. They function really well with other chapters and with human troops. I really like Ultramarines, and I really like Vanilla Ice Cream, so they're going at the top of A. The Death Guard are, for the purposes of this tier list, very interesting. They are among my favourite legions. They're probably top 5. I don't know exactly how my top 5 function at the minute. I guess we'll find that out right now. But, like, before this, if you asked me to rank Death Guard, I would say they are in my top 5 legions. In the making notes for this tier list, I cannot articulate why I like them. Depressed losers resonate with me, I suppose? Like, that's all I've really got. Mortarion, I hate Mortarion. He's a whiny man-child in a galaxy that only has room for one whiny man-child, and Perturabo is right there. Lobi, they're fine. I like them. I don't know why I like them, but I like them. The Thousand Sons. I like the Legion. I do not like the Primarch. I've said many times on this channel that Magnus did as much wrong as he could possibly have done, and I stand by that. I do not like Magnus whatsoever. The Legion are fine. It's filled with space wizards. It's a Legion made entirely of space wizards, so that bumps them up a bit, obviously. They've got the flesh change rubric kind of thing that gives them an element of the tragedy that I apparently am a big fan of. I do like Ahriman. I would like to visit his vineyard. I'm going to put the Thousand Sons in A, towards the bottom of A, just because Magnus exists. Maybe B. This is a very even split at the top. I might have to do something about that. The Lunar Wolves / Sons of Horus / Black Legion are another one that I'm splitting up. I think the Lunar Wolves are an A, mid-A. They were the coolest Legion before the Heresy, with the possible exception of the Emperor's Children, and they are criminally underwritten at the start of the Heresy books. I think their tactics were great. Their Mournival thing with Horus listening to 3 kind of opposing viewpoints to centre himself, I think was great. They had a really fun brotherly dynamic. That one old man that accompanied Garviel Loken, Acton Cruz, I think. He was pretty cool. So the Lunar Wolves are going in A. The Sons of Horus / Black Legion are going in D, the bottom of D. They're just kind of angrier. They're like they lose everything that made the Lunar Wolves great, and they replace it with anger. It's a similar thing to pre- and post-fall Emperor's Children. Like, Horus stops listening to the Mournival. They lose a lot of the uniqueness that the Lunar Wolves have. And post-Heresy, Abaddon exists, so they're going in D. The Word Bearers are perhaps another controversial one. I'm going to put the Word Bearers in S+. They're going at the top. They do get a lot of hate, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate for putting them where I did. And that's honestly fair enough. They did cause the Heresy, and they are just kind of generally dickheads, and also Erebus exists. But I find that they have the best lore of the original Legions. I think their story and their arc is the best of the original Legions. They're kind of starting as hyper-religious fanatics for the Emperor, then getting punished for that at Monarchia, and then deciding that they still believe that the Emperor is a god, but they're going to go and find other gods because he's clearly not worthy of their worship, and then finding the Chaos Gods, discovering that the Emperor had been lying to them the whole time and that there were real gods that actually existed, and then kind of taking that and spreading it throughout the other legions, you know, starting the Heresy, starting the Imperial cult from the Lectitio Divinitatis. I think the Word Bearers are the closest a faction has come to winning 40k, and that is why they're at the top. I think their arc, their story, the fact that they've won is all amazing. The models, the current Chaos Space Marine models really fit Word Bearers more than any other Legion. I think they're great. Okay, moving on. The Salamanders. I like green, and I like fire, and I'm kind of vaguely against the idea of war crimes, and me and the Salamanders agree on those 3 things. They also have the Blood Angels, Emperor's Children thing of being blacksmiths and artisans as well, and I feel like out of all of these legions, the Salamanders would be the ones that are most likely to get into 40k as a hobby. more as the art, like, you know, more on the painting the models side than the actual tabletop game. That would be these two. But all of these things I like, and yet they are still a bit boring. Low A, high B, low A, low A. The Raven Guard. I can see why people like the Raven Guard. They are the kind of the most reasonable of the legions. They kind of use stealth and sensible tactics and don't kind of run screaming at the enemy dressed in hot pink. And I can see why that appeals to some people. But it's just so boring. It's so boring. I didn't get into 40k for sensible military tactics. I got into 40k for the big 10-foot tall super soldiers clad in hot pink sprinting at the enemy. So they're going in C. They're going in D. The Raven Guard are going in D. I really don't like them. Corvus Corax is pretty cool. Everything else about them, I just think they're a bit dull. On the topic of legions that I can see why people like but that I don't like, we've got the Alpha Legion. So mysteries can be fun, and double agents can be fun. I like Snape. But also, part of the reason that I like Snape was that we know why he did things. We know what side he was on, we know his reasoning. We don't have that for the Alpha Legion, and I need to know. It frustrates me to no end that we don't know. I can't deal with having a Legion that could be on either side and is probably on both sides. I need someone to tell me what they're doing. I need there to be a canon source. Otherwise, I can't deal with it. I need the certainty. I don't like Alpha Legion. They're going in C, B, high C, just simply because the teal armour is beautiful. They're going there. So, anyway, let me take a step back. This is my ranking of the original legions. I imagine I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, and maybe this. Those are the three, maybe these four are what I imagine are going to be the most contentious. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please berate me in the comments about how I am objectively wrong about all of these, and how the Space Wolves are actually the best legion and the Word Bearers are actually the worst legion. But if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. It was a bit of a different video than normal, but if you've enjoyed it, please let me know. A huge thank you to my channel members, Vort, Cersei and Victory Kaiser, for supporting me. And I will see you all in the next video, as long as you don't unsubscribe because of my views on the legions.